Hello Internet, Zach here, and welcome back to Collecting the Elements. In this episode I'm going to be collecting element number 24, Chromium. Chromium is the hardest metal on the periodic table. Coming in at 8.5 on the Mohs scale, it's almost as hard as sapphire. It's hard enough to easily scratch materials such as glass, topaz, and quartz. Being a very shiny and corrosion-resistant metal, it's often plated onto other materials as either a decorative or protective coating. It's the main ingredient in stainless steel, giving it corrosion resistance. It's also used in magnetic tapes as chromium dioxide, and in various sorts of paint pigments, giving a whole range of colors. And this is where chromium gets its name, from the Greek chromos, meaning color, because chromium compounds come in literally every color of the rainbow. Now, chromium is normally encountered in one of three different oxidation states. 0, which is chromium metal, +3, which is called trivalent chromium, and is an essential trace nutrient, and +6, which is called hexavalent chromium, and is toxic, carcinogenic, all around nasty, and is also the main form of chromium used in chrome plating. The good news is the plating is chromium 0, it's the metal. But the plating bath is made of hexavalent chromium most of the time. So I'm going to be getting my chromium sample from chrome plating, which I'm going to rip off of some steel parts. The good news is no hexavalent chromium was created in the making of this video. Anyway, let me show you how I did that. I was just at Harbor Freight the other day, and I picked up this socket rail organizer. The important part is, it's chrome plated. So I'm going to attempt to strip the chromium metal off of this and make an element sample. One jar of assorted chromium plated pieces, and hydrochloric acid. The first time I tried this, I made a mistake and I added hydrogen peroxide to this to try to speed up the reaction. This apparently started eating the chromium in addition to the base metal. So this time around, this is just neat hydrochloric acid. And I'm going to let this sit here for a while and marinade, for lack of a better word. The chrome-plated steel pieces have been sitting in their jar and marinating for about 4 hours now. And you can see some flakes of chromium floating around in here. So to catch those flakes, I have a filter set up, and I'm just going to pour the contents of the jar through the filter. I returned the acid to the container and shook it up again twice, and quite a bit more chromium flakes now. So I'm just going to keep repeating this process until I get all the chromium I can off of them. So we're almost at the end of the road with the chromium extraction because I made a mistake. I drained my hydrochloric acid into a container that already had water in it. So my acid is now dilute. It's probably not going to attack the chromium much, or the base metal under the chromium much anymore. So I'm giving this one last good shake. Draining any more chromium flakes into my filter. So I have everything in the filter, plus what I've collected into this test tube. So I think that should be enough chromium to make a good sample. Besides, I'm kind of tired of smelling hydrochloric acid at this point. And I'd kind of like to be done with this part. So one of those things about chrome plating that's worthy of note is the fact that chrome plating isn't just a layer of chromium. There's also a layer of copper and a layer of nickel that are underneath the chromium. I can show you this because there's still some nickel attached to the chromium flakes. And the nickel is attracted to a magnet. Now, if this were pure nickel, this would be much more strongly attracted than this. Since it's only a thin layer of nickel underneath the layer of chromium, a magnet will make the chromium flakes dance, much like the cobalt flakes that were coated with copper. Alright, I'm going to add the chromium flakes I collected in the test tube into here. Flush them all out with some distilled water. And pour some more distilled water onto here to wash all the acid off. Stir everything around a little bit. Chromium is now dried out, but a little bit stuck to itself. Well, what I have is effectively chromium glitter. And it's kind of messy and getting everywhere. See if I can at least scrape it off the side of the glass. And there is still nickel attached to it, so the nickel's attracted to a magnet, but if that were pure nickel, the magnet would be staying stuck to the test tube, but it's not. So it is mostly chromium. Chromium plating to chromium glitter. Hey, at least it's bigger than my tantalum sample, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell over here. If you know somebody else who might enjoy this, please feel free to share it. And if you want to help me make more videos, throw me a few coins on PayPal or Patreon. Links in the description. Anyway, see you next time.